really
No.
feel like everybody that's on this call was a goth at some point in their life.
I wasn't.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm letting the group down. You want me to go and change? I feel really blue.
No,
In
I think you're
I feel
fine.
like I'm in my work shirt.
You
Are we
have the
good?
red hair at least.
I do. And I used to. My mother, when I was, 14, 15, I was going like full belt, black dyed hair, black
See, I knew
jumpers.
it.
When I said go,
There
that
was a
was the
point
start
where
of the
I was-
stream.
Mm-hmm.
I'm completely fine with
You
that,
know,
Isla.
Okay, cool.
That's cool.
Hi, everybody. We are here to we're here to talk about Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir, one of Eastercon's guests of honor in 2027, and we're very excited about that. So naturally, we started talking about the fact that everybody who is here talking about this was clearly a goth at some point in their life. Meg, you're kind of a goth now, my darling.
No, I'm so a bit like Delirium in The Endless. I'm sort of that goth that's smashed against colour because I can't quite. I love the black and I love all the bits that go with it, but I also cannot give up 1950s styles clothes or random colour. It's one of those ones where I'm like,
I knew plenty of rockabilly goths when I was at uni who would wear the colour when they were doing the 50s swing dresses. So that is an absolutely valid goth subculture.
I think it's one of those things as well. Like, it's a really fun thing to kind of see in this book is kind of different representations of stuff.
Oh yeah,
along fashion line. Like, you're clearly only goth and a proper necromancer if you're in black, uncomfortable.
and you've literally painted your face as a skull.
Yeah, and your face is a skull. And you're sweating balls down yourself because you are in that situation. Yeah.
And yet we've got the necromancy rainbow from 2nd through to 9th, because the only people who are doing the whole black and skull paint and hoods and grave dirt are the 9th house. Nobody else is described that way.
No, because they are the go big or go home. I mean, well, for so many different reasons in that kind of sense of thing, but it's like, the kind of like part where it is I was goth before anyone else was goth. Like, you're truly goth. If
I was wearing black before it was cool. That energy, yes.
Yeah. I'm
right. We should probably, for people watching, say a few housekeeping things. Yes, behold the book. There will be spoilers. If you haven't read the book, don't watch this. I think it's fair to say. We're going to try and not talk about Harrow and Nonna. Meg?
I was going to say, if you haven't read the book, don't worry. Even if we spoil it, you won't remember it, you won't be able to follow it. If you read Harrow or Nonna, you will then still have to reread everything else alongside each other and kind of almost want to intersperse them together, because there is no way on hell's earth that a coherent conversation can happen about this book or the sequels without recognizing that they are some part of an elaborate hurricane of stuff.
We would have to literally explain the book from start to finish to truly spoiler it.
Even then you couldn't, because there's still bits that are hidden out of that. I think, personally.
I've read it 4 times. I still have questions. I am still asking these questions, but that's part of the beauty of this book. I know we describe a lot of books as genre busting, but this one really just knocks them out of the park. It's a science fantasy skin wrapped around a mystery. The closest genre I can honestly think of it as is anime. And that makes no sense because it's a book, but it makes sense because a good anime is one that has so many layers that you discover something new about it each time you encounter it. And for me, I need to have someone sat next to me explaining what's going on during an anime. And I got to the end of the book and said, I love that very much. I'm not smart enough for this. Please, can somebody explain to me in small words what happened?
I don't think it's... I will 100% say, first of all, it makes me think of Pratchett in that kind of way of like you read it again and you reveal, and depending on where your positionality is at that moment, like how much knowledge you have, you kind of go, oh, here is some more information, because it's the series itself. It's all there's so many Easter eggs and there's so many kind of nod here and nod there. Sometimes maybe a little too much at points, but I think it's one of those ones where if you don't know the thing that is being referenced, it doesn't make any real difference to the book. As somebody in their 40s, there was a whole part in Harrow, and my friend was like, did you see the really hilarious? And I was like, you're gonna have to actually point that out to me. And I was like, oh, sweet summer child, I am not a Tumblr human. Like, and there was like, you know, like, I need no more things to not waste, but like, you know, rabbit hole me. Like, I have had to restrict all of the things.
I need to get my Tumblr teen to read it and explain to me the bits that I didn't get.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think that's kind of, and they were like, oh, it's this bit. And I was like, it's fine. Okay. They were like, oh, it's just if you, and I was like, yeah, no, it's fine. Okay, move on.
But you don't need it. You don't need to have got that reference.
It didn't make any real difference. It's a bit like, you know, I didn't understand that like the Pratchett reference to cameras having, you know, things in was because they used to be called brownies. Like the cameras were called brownies at certain points. And it wasn't till later when my mum said, oh, my camera, that was a brownie. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like it's got on. And she was like, no, it was called it. And I was like, so
new Pratchett law for me.
Yeah, I didn't know that one either. But then is that moving pictures? One of his lesser
yeah, but all of the ones where like they have the imps painting the pictures inside the
which is a lot of them.
So kind of camera comes in and builds up, and it then is established.
First time we encounter that is Feet of Clay, but we got dragged off onto another series. Sorry. We're here to talk about Gideon the Ninth and why it is a glorious lesbian romp with necromancers and science fiction at the same time, and those things seem like they won't go together, and they do beautifully.
They do. They? There's this book. There's so much going on, and I think if you get lured in by the lesbian necromancers in space, which is a brilliant tagline, but totally does it a disservice.
It does.
Because they're barely in space. They're barely lesbians. Admittedly, they are necromancers.
They are the most lesbians ever. They spend 20 years of their lives fighting without asking each other out. That's...
Or is that like the ultimate?
Like, I will die for her. Will you ask her on a date? No.
I
hate you. I hate you. Okay, I get it.
I mean, I think like, so I like some of the caveats that they put on, like why it's not actually in space. Because there's no necromantic powers while you are not connected to the earth, and then you arrive at this thing. I also love the fact that the pun of, you know, the play out of what it actually is right from the start, because it's a locked tomb. So it's a locked room book. It's a locked room mystery, right? Like they're all in this one. You know, it's I cannot remember what the current naming of the Agatha Christie book is, with the 12 individuals that slowly die on the island, but it is that plus this. And I think one of the great things about it is you can enter it and you can accept it on face value as like kind of yarn and action and snark and everything else, and then you can see the like smarts behind how the layering is happening, and then you can just like take that and set it on fire and throw it out the window when you get to the next book, and have like a whiplash shift kind of tonally as well with that. So, I think and I'm trying not to spoil her, but something I didn't notice when reading, but noticed instantly when audioing was present, was evident in the books, which is, narrative voice. And there's a very sort of like Gideon's narrative voice is like really, really awesome.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
Because you're following the story about, it's really very high science within world, not high science out of world. If you know science in the real world, that will not help you understand the science behind the necromancy at all. We're all starting in the same place. But Gideon herself is an unreliable narrator in the sense that she doesn't actually get it. So we're seeing what's happening with some of the explanations through the eyes of a character who doesn't understand why things are happening the way that they are. I refer to books as sitting up books or lying down books. Sitting up books are ones where you pay attention to every word that's happening, because as it happens, you start to see everything that's happening. A lying down book is one that you're reading and you don't understand exactly what's going on, but you accept the fact that you don't understand it and just go along with it because it will be revealed. This is very much a lying down book for me, because I think Gideon is kind of lying down and being pulled through the narrative as much as she is a very active participant in the narrative.
I think she just doesn't really know or care.
Yeah.
Because I think she goes into it with that contract that she makes with Harrow. I mean, Harrow, dangling whatever freedom in front of her. And I don't think Gideon actually knows. I don't think Harrow explains what they're going into, and I'm not sure Harrow knows what's happening.
No, I don't think she
knows
does.
what's happening either. In that sort of space, she's also being driven by a desire for freedom and security in a very different way. Like, Harrow's been playing. I mean, it's such a shell game book, right? Like, it's such a con within a situation, and like, I think it's quite funny when you say she doesn't know what's going on or care, because obviously it's Harrow Hawk and like the names, but Harrow calls Gideon a cuckoo because she's not of the Ninth as they understand it at that point. Like, her mother arrives, she dies, and Gideon's left to be taken care of. But she's also a cuckoo because she isn't that bird. She doesn't then mimic that bird and learn to be that bird in their thing. She stays resolutely herself, which is in a place of death, really wants life, really wants the fleshy existence of life. Whereas Harrow's character she's aesthetic, painfully so, and through kind of neglect and fear and lack and extreme protection. Like, she is trying to protect herself so goddamn hard that she can only do it. Like, she doesn't have a boundary. She has like a razor wire glass topped wall, and she's like, I'm gonna cross this all the way through. And like, Gideon doesn't really want to cross this, but she's on the inside of it to some extent anyway. And I think it's really interesting. Like, they fight with each other because they have no one else to fight with, and whether or not there's that kind of like, they get to a point where they are around other people, and they do have other people they can be attracted to, and they do have other people that they could knock bones with, but they end up drawn back together. And I think it's like a really interesting part about shared stuff, shared trauma, shared sort of kind of bonds that you don't realize, and also kind of what happens when somebody eventually trusts you to some extent. Because Harrow has no idea how to trust anybody.
that moment in the pool, though, where Harrow says, "I'm going to tell you everything," and they finally do the pledge that they managed to skirt around doing when they made their contract, that moment was so beautiful and it felt authentic. Yeah, that one. It didn't feel like, oh, the narrative needs them to come together as a couple, so even though they've been fighting horribly, they've now come together. No, it actually works, and works really well.
I think it's an interesting thing because it also riffs off of that kind of, what does Harrow need? And Harrow needs life for her power, or rather she needs the energy of death that is only creatable if there's been life. And Gideon's sort of irreverence and everything else in there, alongside just who they are, is a really interesting kind of challenge to Harrow's perspective on what you sacrifice to get power. I think it's a good one. I really liked so much of the banter and the bits and the up and down and the like, oh, here's a moment I could kick their arse, but you know, actually that wouldn't look great. And yeah, the layers of that is really fabulous.
And the language is gorgeous. I don't think the book would have landed if it was written like a straight fantasy about necromancers. It needed the way that Gideon uses language in thought and word, the complete irreverence of it. That we do bones, motherfucker. I've read a lot of books with necromancy in, and I have never come across anything tonally like that. And it makes this book something that isn't like any other books that I've read. And I love it for that.
I think that it has, you know, it queers everything all the time, right? Like every relationship pretty much in the book is queered to a level.
Yeah.
You kind of know out the play out of all of the bits within it. And that doesn't mean that they're all queer, but they're queer. They're altered in kind of any standard perspective. And obviously Necromancer to Cavalier is a fundamentally sort of different space in there as well. I do love that, like, I love how smart and unapologetically smart Harrow is, and that how it is a blessing and a curse to them. And when they start to get that challenge from people who are equally there, that sort of sword fight that they can get in the same way that Gideon gets it physically. And it's kind of really interesting to see that. And I think that's one of the first times as well that Gideon appreciates that in Harrow, versus she's just a smart ass who makes me feel dumb, and you know, everything else is there.
Watching them smart together, the intellectual sparring.
I mean, that's hot. That's always hot to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Smart. Like, you know, I think it's a really interesting sort of set of things.
Do we think they would have arrived at that point in their relationship without having been thrown into the situation where they have to engage with other couples?
Absolutely not. No. They would have carried on clawing at each other.
I absolutely don't think that they would have done. I think it's a bit like, that the only way that goes when it's in that space is toxic. And the only way that it gets to not be toxic is if it's given a different existence. Although I'm not quite sure. I mean, like, the whole premise of their shared secret and the difference it means to each of them, and like, to some extent, Gideon finds it not funny, or she positions it as if like, well, Harrow's power will come crashing down if they realize that, since she was a child, she has been, and this is not a spoiler because this is very clear from the very first chapters, she's been puppeting her parents who committed suicide, leaving her with nothing and no one to preserve her home and the people in it. And there is this huge amount of duty in there, and there's this huge amount of fear in there, like, what your choices might make if you discover your parents hanging bodies at one age versus as a child who you're like, well, everything is not safe anymore, and everything, it's a really different kind of relationship, I think, that comes out. And in the way that they deserve, they describe all of the people around them both growing up are emotionally or physically, or they're the physical representations of their atrophy or damage, or like that is their emotional thing. Like Crux is like so old and dried out and cannot, but he's like completely loyal, and like the enemy she
Clemane.
she can show that emotionally, other than in like beating her up, which is what Gideon does. There's this kind of, that is really interesting when there's no healthy relationship, or there's the like icky thingy between Orteus and his mom, and the atrophying evil aunts, and it's just like, where's the healthy relationship? And there is not one in the entire set.
What a good place for a child to grow up, or two children to grow up, or a horrible mass murder of 200 children to happen.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, one of the key questions for me was like, Harrow, just let it go. It's not a nice place. There's no one left. Just go.
But she can't, because it's her responsibility, and it's intrinsically tied into who she is.
No, come on. No one left. Run into the sunset with your...
I'm sure we have all been in positions in our lives where we have stayed somewhere that we really shouldn't have out of a sense of responsibility.
I think out of a sense of responsibility, yes, but also out of a sense of fear. And then increasingly there's a sense of security that comes from having the power in the space in which they have it, and the relationships and dynamics in which, like if you've worked out how to survive, in the crushing darkness, you stay in the crushing darkness because you've evolved into this thing, and like moving into those other spaces for her is terrifying. She has incredible courage in doing it, which she shows by being an absolute bitch, because she's not comfortable at all with any of the situation. She's not comfortable being out in the light. She doesn't know how to win friends and influence people. She's like the absolute introvert, and Gideon's her like pet extrovert, and like you see this dynamic everywhere. If you go to a convention, you see it a lot, and you're like, you're like, they want to make friends and be with the other people and know it, but they also don't. It's not safe.
Bitch is a defense mechanism.
And sometimes the best defense is an attack. So yeah, it's in there with that.
We've done Harrow and Gideon for a solid half hour at this point. Should we talk about some of the other characters in the other houses? Because
no, there's too many.
Not to oversell it, but I would die for Camilla Hecht. Camilla Hecht is perfection in human form.
But I see. You got a little crush.
Everybody's got a crush on Camilla Hecht. Even Palamedes is the biggest nerd in the universe. Like that Did he say anything before he died? It's like, yeah, he said that he loved you. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He said you'd know what to do. That sums up Camilla Hecht. That and Gideon knew immediately that she organized her socks by color and genre. I need to move her in with me. My sock drawer is a mess.
I liked Camilla. I liked
Miller and Palamedes' dynamic is beautiful.
Yeah. I was gonna say I liked her loyalty and how it was very different than like other and sense of duty. Like, you know, you see the different modelings of similar relationships and like how they can be healthily managed and developed and how they are like not.
Well, those two were intellectual equals. They understood all of the theorems together, which you don't see a lot in the other houses. To greater or lesser extent, sometimes the Cavalier is literally a battery or just somebody who's there to carry things. But in the case of the Sixth, they are already one unit. They are already working together as one from start to finish. Turn the light on. What did you think of the third? Because that was one secret that I did actually figure out within about 5 minutes of meeting Coronabeth Tridentarius.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. Oh no, she's not a real necromancer, it's her twin. Well, yeah, obviously, looking at them.
Well, it makes you wonder why Tamsyn wrote it that obvious. And what
probably because there had to be one secret that the reader could feel smart by figuring out before they had it told to them.
Or was she distracting us from something else and we haven't discovered it even after reading the book? That's
entirely possible. I'm sure there were plenty of people who read it and didn't put that together, but they'll have put other things together that I didn't. But when it comes to sister relationships, I can generally spot what's really going on. There were only 21 months between us growing up. I tried to kill her at least 4 times by the time we were walking. It was, yeah, that's a very accurate representation.
I think I was just gonna, like, I was sort of looking at my dramatis personae and thinking about how, you know, puppetry and like how people are, you know, used by people to fulfill needs, wants, ends. Like you've got different forms of puppetry in the books with like Ianthe and Coronabeth and Nibirius, and then with Dulcina and
Protesilaus.
But like it's it's interesting being like, yes, given that like a necromancer does puppet dead flesh all the time, kind of the different power dynamic relationships is really, I think, interesting. I think really interesting how they play out, and how fucked up like it is as well, like just how profoundly messy it is.
You could actually have put cameras throughout Canaan House and did the entire thing as a season of Big Brother, and it would have been phenomenal.
I mean, it did read like that at certain points as well, like when you're kind of, and especially to book 2, and then you're like, different perspective in the room.
Yeah.
You're like, kind of like, you know,
we put 8 couples together in a house. Now see how their toxic relationships tear each other apart. Oh, also they're necromancers. Have fun.
And something or someone. And there's lots of death traps. And there's lots of puzzles.
Do you know, I would have been a lot more likely to actually watch a full season of Big Brother if people were getting killed. I think it would have been a lot more entertaining. Obviously, at that point, it would have had to be fiction, not reality TV.
Ben Elton wrote that book. But like, I think it's it's an interesting one. Like, I like what they do with like puzzle horror, like gameplay horror,
Mhm.
and kind of we have a lot in sci-fi of the Holmes dynamic. Like of Sherlock and Watson in various different.
Mhm.
Sometimes one of them's a sentient spacecraft. Sometimes one of them's a robot. So like, but that Holmes dynamic is all over the place because it's a great puzzle piece, and it also works really well when it's in sort of flipped and everything else like this. But I do think there's a bit more of a sort of Agatha Christie style, like some of the glamour that isn't normally in Holmes, and some of that kind of piece being in a place together, all drawn together to fit this sort of fix this puzzle, and I think it, or like Knives Out, like it's got that kind of
Yes.
Knives Out, Glass
Yeah,
Onion
they're a bit
vibe.
more fleshed out than
You could set the entire
they're-
thing in like the Clue house. Like that sense of faded grandeur and moth-eaten velvet. That's not exactly how it's described, but that's the vibe of Canaan House.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I
when
was
she
definitely picturing maybe like the Traitor's Castle or something. Although me reading this predates Traitors, but
Haven't seen Traitors, I have to say.
I'm sorry, Claire. What?
I haven't either.
Oh my god, people! What's wrong with you?
One, I haven't seen
ADHD.
it, and two,
Yeah.
social deduction games stress me out.
When somebody tells me I have to watch something, that means it goes on a list, and I do not get to decide when I consume that media. I'm watching Babylon 5 through. It was released in the 90s. I was mad that somebody spoiled it for me with a meme. It's been out 30 years. I don't even care.
Are you enjoying it?
Oh, yeah, very much
It's
so.
so good. So good. I'm really jealous of you getting to watch that for the first time.
It's a trip, especially when everybody else has seen it a long time ago, has opinions on it, and wants to talk about it.
Yeah, just don't watch the final series that has issues.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of the out of world, real world, what was going on, nightmare with that. Like
Anyway.
it happens. Sorry, Gideon, yes.
Okay.
But it would make an amazing film or series. And the way that it breaks down into them working out the different puzzles, I think, well, it works in my mind. They'd never do it justice because nobody ever does.
Yeah. No, I'm just picturing if it would physically be possible.
It would be CGI'd all to hell.
Like,
I think the problem, and I don't use that in the negative way, but I think the challenge, let's call it the challenge, is that the puzzles and the challenges and the reason that they've come together are just such a tiny little part of the entire messed up world that they're in.
That's true.
I think on its own, as a murder mystery, that would be super fun. I think you would really lose the nuances and the why, because the why for what's her face, who isn't really what's her face, that's the core of that's one of the core kind of issues that Tamsyn is exploring, and you can't really talk about that really because that's a different story. I think so. I don't know how they would make that into.
Yeah. Do you know what hyperphantasia is? It's the opposite of aphantasia. It's where you, when you read something, it comes to life by visualizing in your head. That's how I read this book, like watching it all happen, which is why I found it hard to follow, because there was so much happening that I was having to go back over things so that I could visualize it properly to get the most out of it. But that's why I think, oh, this would be great on screen. And it actually wouldn't at all, because a lot of the horror elements that are rendered less horrifying because of the irreverent humor, you couldn't translate that onto screen, because if you saw that happening, it would be horrifying. I mean, she uses subcutaneous fat to make a shield around her that melts into blood and fat on the ground. That is nasty. And the reason it works so well as horror in the book is because your mind filters it in a way that it wouldn't be able to do in visual media.
I mean, yes, I don't disagree with that, but I do also think there is ways that, you know, there's ways that you cue the irreverence in it. Like, maybe not particularly that scene, but like Gideon in Aviators, like as a sort of other part, kind of looking at that, being like the kind of situation.
Yeah, you could if you did flashback to the first person narrator. Yeah, you could.
And I think it's that sort of thing about, like, what's really interesting is the different sort of ways you see or don't see the overview the Shining House that, like, but like as a castle was the kind of
the Overlook,
off it. Yeah, because you're like, nothing here is good for you at all, and sort of
that is another just go home scenario, isn't it? Just take one look at that and go nope, and turn around. Nobody ever does.
But you don't. Like, that's why The Cabin in the Woods is such a funny, like, movie to some extent, as well as playing against all those sort of bits. Because
I love
you're
that
like,
so much. But
this does that. It's like, here is the various different things. Now, I am a what time are we? Okay.
When we got 20 minutes.
No. I'm just trying to work out the PG watch, because I'm not going to use that. I am complete ballsack about certain things. As in, if you touch me, I'll be like, ah. So if I watch scary things, or if I think a jump scare is about to happen in any situation, including, I was at saw the Odyssey the other week, and I only screamed and jumped once, which I thought was quite impressive. But you know, I will, if I can see it coming, I put my arms up in the air and put down anything else, because I have flipped a laptop, stabbed myself with a knitting needle, spilt wine, like bruised my arm so badly. And that was only in Agatha all along. And it's one of the things I find quite interesting is like how in books it is a different way of building up tension or not, and where it's being cut or undercut or built up, so you don't get like the audio cue in the same way, and you don't get kind of all that. And I think it's, you know, there's some spooky bits and some creepy bits, but I never found it scary. And then, like, I didn't find it as horror. I found it like more sometimes body horror-ness, but like there's a lot that gives you the squick. So like the subcutaneous flesh stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's gross. But also, like, it is not sudden. Like, it didn't jump at me, so therefore I didn't scream. And it
I
doesn't
didn't get jump scared in this book. There is one moment in this book that jump scared me. Yeah. When she's got little Jean Marie asleep in the bed in the locked lab that nobody else can get into because nobody has a key, and she wakes up and it says sweet dreams on the wall, and you see this little child's body with bones jutting through her, and she's dead. I dropped the book.
That is impressive.
I mean, yeah. It's not like, yeah, okay, I can see how that happens, but I guess maybe my eyes do something. It's all the other cueing, right? Like,
I found that just utterly heartbreaking.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's no mercy.
No.
There's like nobody should be getting out of this alive kind of situation at this point. And
which makes it a thriller. It makes it horror. It makes it.
And I still don't really understand why the fourth were targeted. I mean, there doesn't need to be a reason, because the person who was doing it, the thing that was doing it, is bucket loads of crazy. But when she's laying out the reasoning behind it, I'm like, but why the kids? What is wrong with you? All the people you could have taken out who were a genuine threat to you, and you took out the kids. Protect the babies.
Potential. Energy. Like,
that was the point. The gut punch is the point.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also that there sometimes is no point and they don't care. Like, and that's. I mean, I think one of the things I'm interested about the series in general is the shell game. That, you know, the door that should never be, the stone that should never be unrolled. The kind of part of it. What does that mean? And like, if you're riffing off of, so like in Christianity, the stone was unrolled, and that's how we have like resurrection, but also how we have faith and forgiveness and it kind of everything else, right? So if someone is in dying because something must always be imprisoned, like, is there maybe something at play here that is less generally PCOK? And like, as you kind of play through, or like, do you know what it would work well as? Sorry, ADHD. It would work really well as a computer game.
Oh God, yes, absolutely. In the vein of Silent Hill, but introduce Gideon's humor to it. My God.
Yeah, but like that kind of, or you know, the kind of, you're going through puzzle, or there was a game called Primal that I loved, and that you had various different puzzles, and you had like a person who did one bit and a gargoyle that was sort of your. It was interesting. Anyway,
I'm here for this. I'm here for gargoyle. What's the word I'm looking for?
It was, and so you could shift between perspectives sometimes, but like it was one of those.
Carry on.
Guide-ish, but like, you know, snarky, very very snarky. What the gargoyle was, and like, you know, if you were, say you were not playing it from, or you play one playthrough as Gideon with Harrow, and then you play through one playthrough as Harrow, and like, you know, you've got these various different versions that play out, and could you ever get the full story? Because one of the things I'm quite interested in is, you know, you get into this part of, at any point you think, if you think you understand it and you've got the truth completely, you probably don't.
I would like to play through as Palamedes, please and thank you, and have Camilla with me. I would play that like Baldur's Gate 3. That would just be a dating sim with necromancy.
I mean, isn't that Baldur's Gate 3?
Yes.
But
I don't know about the necromancy, but it's definitely a dating sim.
I mean, I think what's an interesting one was, so I read this in 2019, just after Dublin. Like a friend had recommended, would you go, oh God, read this guy? You know, it was like recommended on the first day, and I got it and read it and like inhaled it. And then I wait. No, patience is not one of my virtues. Until Harrow came. And of course, Harrow was released in the pandemic.
Oh yeah, April 2020, just when it all kicked off.
And it was sent to me by somebody else who knew I wanted it, and it arrived. And that was not a good call to be reading alone when you are not with people. And you were looking for some of that irreverent humor and some of that flash in personality.
And it is not there.
And you get a lot of grief, which when you were in a world full of grief at that time. And I think it was a really it was a whiplash, particularly because there's this whole like hot denouement sort of build, and then you're like,
oh yeah, the tonal shift between Gideon and Harrow is wild.
But it's silly to almost think that there wouldn't be a tonal shift.
Yeah, that's of course, there would have to be.
But you're just like, but also, well, like, where's my, you know, where's this?
I mean, I couldn't read during the pandemic. I wish I could. I put on Fallout New Vegas and played it for about 800 hours, which was one way of dealing with the apocalypse.
Yeah. It was one of those books where at the time I wanted to have people to talk to about it, and I didn't have anybody. And like wanted to be able to be like, But wait, on this page, was it not like this?
Yeah.
You know, like
Wouldn't it have been amazing to have an online book club to discuss the books during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean,
Started it.
If only we'd thought of that.
It's all right.
So we're going to do this again in about a year's time to talk about Harrow, right? Because I'm going to need it.
I mean, if it's a year's time, it'll be after Eastercon. So, you know, you might want to, like...
It doesn't have to be for the public. It can just be for us.
Fine, yeah, there's, like, other people. I mean, I think there's a deep dive sort of re-immersion that needs to happen in general. But, like...
Yeah.
I think...
it looks like the next one...
basically, about the next book. Because I think that's too much pressure on the author, but it's also too much pressure on the characters and yourself. Yeah. I learned that lesson and I was like, emotionally, it is better to be dead inside and detached because that way...
I'm just looking because obviously as soon as you said don't look at when the next book is out, that was the first thing I did.
Not confirmed.
No, I know. I wanted to know if it was the book that I thought it was, which is Gideon the Ninth.
Mm-hmm.
I am excited about that. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it has possibly shifted pop date about 3 times so far. So
yeah, let her cook.
We can wait.
I would rather a book come out when the author is ready for it to come out than it come out and think, oh, the author wasn't ready for this to come out.
Indeed.
It's not even that. It's one of those things about... I remember I read an interview with Pullman and he talked about the Amber Spyglass, and it's so long because he didn't get the chance to do the kind of refinement and editing that he would have wanted it, because there was the pressure and the demand for it. And I wanted it in my like grubby little nits at the time. So I understand that. But I think, if you think about the tightness of Northern Lights and the tightness of Sutton Life, which is a phenomenal book in its space. And it takes a long time to strip the flesh from the bones and get the kind of pure part. I mean, unless you've got flesh-eating bugs or
an extremely necromantic phrase to use about a series that doesn't have necromancy in it. Yeah. We're very much immersed in the necromancy here.
but I'm also thinking about this, like if you've got so many threads or so many things,
Oh yeah.
To work things out. It was Justin Anderson posted. It was anybody who's read my books and know them better than me. Have these two characters ever met?
Yeah, like can you just tell me what happened?
Is that? Yeah. And you think about you people get hooked on things, and it must be a huge amount of pressure to push into that or create characters with that same energy all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't think audiences are particularly forgiving. And genre audiences...
Yeah, let's just say, lovely people watching this, if you're coming to Eastercon and you have the joy of meeting Tamsyn, please talk to her about her books. Do not ask her when the next one is out. It's not cool. It does not help.
It's like asking somebody who's writing their thesis, so when are you submitting? Because that is the quickest way to get a drink thrown at you. Like, or the urge to be barking. Like, I don't know how many times that I was like...
Right, can we take 5 minutes to talk about the absolutely insane wall building?
Yes, please, let's. Because it really doesn't take time for exposition, does it? It's just, here is the information. You better roll with it because I am not sugarcoating this for you. We are not going to slow down. We are on this ride until we stop. No one is going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That is a very accurate description of this book. It's very accurate.
So what were the aspects of the world building that really resonated with you, Anne?
I just love the idea of the 9 houses and how they're based on planets and the amount of fandom speculation about, is it our solar system? and which of these planets are which? Oh, see, I did some deep diving on the internet earlier.
Ooh.
So, you know, they're like, oh, so the first house is obviously Earth, and then the second house is obviously Mars, because that's where. Sorry, you're just gonna have to watch all those videos that I've watched this afternoon, and how they were, how people were like, oh, and yeah, and all the names are tying into all the Roman, and obviously the ninth house is Tartarus because it's like death, and it's like, you know, but yeah, I have no idea. So, Meg, when you're interviewing Tamsin, if you're interviewing Tamsin as the guest of honor, could you please ask about the absolutely crazy world building? It's also all their specialties and all, you know, their colors and their beliefs and.
I love the color palette of the nine houses. The allegory there fascinates me.
I think it's
just
like,
the idea of the ninth are all black, but the eighth are all white and are all about purity, and the seventh are about the beauty in death, and the third are these beautiful aurora colors, the sunlight.
I mean, that's everybody. Sorry, like I don't disagree. I do love that, and I love the way that the different skulls have like different, like the jaw is missing, so like the stitch mouth and like kind of all the different ways that it represents a level of each of the houses. And the you've seen this?
What?
Yeah. So like, there's, see how on here, like there was a whole series of 10 that were released that had the different skulls.
Oh, now I'm seeing them at the top of each chapter.
And like, but the pit,
Have this
because
on
they
Kindle.
there, so like, you know, the ninth house, and it has no
Oh
jaw.
wow! I never even noticed that.
So the ninth house is the sewn tongue, so there's no jaw on it. Like they can't speak, it's all secrets, which is it's funny because that's tarot, right? Like it's all secrets.
Yeah.
And you know, kind of take it on there. I mean, I think it's also, when you think about it, it's the various different approaches to death through mythologies and cultures and faiths, and like what, you know, what does it mean? You could easily take, you know, Pluto, where Pluto will always be a planet to me. You know, were it to be like, I'm just saying, when we declassified,
everything started to go wrong. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. That's when everything went to pieces, when we declassified Pluto as a planet. Maybe we don't piss off the death god by saying he's not a planet.
And like, but I think there's a kind of all of those bits that are really interesting. You're like, because is it our solar system in a far future? Is it a totally different world? Is it kind of, you know, what sets of riffs are you pulling on? Like Gideon's a really interesting name choice because Gideon was a prophet. And so then you've got like the different riffs on different parts. It's the only word her mother says as she, you know, as she
was it her name? Was it her father's name?
But like, was it anything? Was it the way, you know, like, is there prophecy in that itself? And like, but then all the various different like nicknames and sort of shells and nods that get put into bits. I mean, the other thing that you're talking about, like different relationships and characters, Ianthe, she's great. Like as you know, a character that you are like love to hate, but also see the development of, particularly as the series goes on. And
proof that not all character development can be positive.
But actually, you know, it's interesting about how you make a villain, or how you in people to villainous aspects of another person, and are they really a villain, or are they, you know, just trying to survive and do exactly the same things that Harrow is trying to do, but in a different way. And we're put in the positionality of Harrow, or we're put in the positionality of Gideon's relationship with Harrow at different points, which is, you know, interestingly layered. We'll just go with layered. I mean, I still, I think one of the best, like, is the opening scenes, right, of a book where you have her staging her escape, and like you've got these emissaries walking to her, being like, "Step back, you know, dishonor. Nope, step back, dishonor."
Mhm.
And you know, Harrow comes up and like she strips, she disrobes herself, and then you're thinking, you know her. You know this is a feint and a fake and everything else. But when she
But
like
you're gonna
has
fall into it anyway.
the grave dust, the dirt under her like nails, that whole first pull out scene, because you see Gideon as this hench, sort of like woman. You know, the two-hander is her mode. She doesn't know what to do with her right hand. Rapiers aren't like, and that whole sort of bit. But you see her as this, and she's like, Harrow's 90 pounds soaking wet, and she's like, I'm not gonna swing for this. Oh wait, well actually maybe I'll swing for this. I'm never gonna win this. I'm never gonna win this. And like, there's still a part of me that wonders, does she want to win this? Because she could have taken her out in the plane. She doesn't hate her enough to actually kill her at the point she could 100% kill her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's an interesting, the world build, like she sets it up right from the start. You are dropped into an escape that has been, you know, the first escape started when she was 4. She has tried all of these, and you get this kind of like, my head played out how they were, like what were the various different childhood ways that she tried to escape, and like how savvy Harrow would be dealing with that, and the kind of joy that she has in thwarting it, but also that there's another person who's trying to leave her, and so she makes it even harder both to leave
And I
so,
hadn't even thought of that aspect, to be honest. Like, everybody in her life has left her. It's really not a surprise. None of it.
unless, and the only way that she's kept corpses around her. Like, it is easier to have that and hate than to be completely alone.
Yikes, that is bleak, isn't it?
And when you start to see that in the second book, like the tension and the breakdown of that, because of the break in her shell, in her defenses, and kind of how it gets there, and kind of that psychic shift and damage that it has done, as well as the one flesh one end, like the full sort of issues that come out with that. It's like, it's really fucking dangerous to love. It's really, let alone anything else. Like,
There's some messages there.
There are many messages, and a lot of humor. I want to say I did think this was a really, really funny book.
Sometimes so funny,
very smuttily funny. Like, the humor is, there's some highbrow humor, but there's a lot of like 12-year-old boy humor.
Oh yeah,
and I'm there for it, to be honest. So yeah,
I need to be inside you. You're not even trying.
it's just like, yeah, it's like it gives you a boner, but still.
Yeah, we are past 9 o'clock, and we should probably let people go about their evenings. But if you haven't read it, do. If you have read it, read it again. Read the second one, read the third one. Pine with us for future understandings that we know will be coming.
Or not.
Come and find us at Eastercon if you need a hug, or ask a question, or just, you know, you just
compare skull makeup.
Yeah. Yeah. We can have a you know, a little support group. We're here for you.
Okay.
Oh man, it's such a good book.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you in Glasgow in 2027.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, folks.
Bye, everyone.
It's